Thank you, Ranking Member Capuano. Thank you for your interest in our work. The work performed by the FDIC Office of Inspector General relating to the Corporation's Structured Asset Sales Program. The OIG is an independent office within the FDIC established to conduct audits and investigations to prevent waste, fraud, and abuse and to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of FDIC programs. In my written statement, I provided an overview of our audit coverage during the current crisis. Specifically, I described work that we have done related to failed financial institutions and the FDIC's resolution and receivership activities. Today, I am pleased to discuss our completed and ongoing work as it relates to one of those FDIC resolution approaches, the structured asset sale transaction. The OIG has completed performance audits of 2 structured asset sale transactions that we selected based on the size and type of assets involved. The first audit was of A&B Venture, which involved an unpaid balance of $1.2 billion. The second audit was of Chorus Construction Venture. Chorus involved 101 individual assets and an unpaid balance of $4.4 billion. And Chorus also contained a funding advance mechanism. My office contracted with Clifton Larson Allen to conduct these audits. The objectives in both audits were to assess the compliance of the Structured Asset Sales Agreement and to assess the FDIC's monitoring of these agreements. In our reports, we concluded that A&B, Chorus, and their respective managing member with some provisions of the structured asset sales agreements, and that the FDIC had implemented certain controls for monitoring these transactions. We also noted that the FDIC had planned or was in the process of implementing significant control improvements. However, our audits identified a number of control deficiencies involving both compliance and monitoring that warrant FDIC management attention. To that end, the A&B audit contained 10 findings and 24 recommendations. According to the FDIC, actions have been taken on these recommendations. The Chorus report contained 7 findings and 10 recommendations, and corrective actions for these recommendations are expected to be completed by September 30th this year. My written statement will detail the results of these audits. We are continuing our audit coverage of structured asset sales transactions with an audit of Rialto Capital Management. This audit, which was requested by FDIC management due to inquiries and complaints that it had received, will cover 2 transactions. The first transaction involves 5,200 assets with an unpaid balance of approximately $2.3 billion. The majority of these assets pertain to residential acquisition, development, and construction projects. The second transaction involves 345 assets, preliminarily commercial ADC projects with an unpaid principal balance of $799 million. The Rialto includes the same 2 objectives we used in conducting the A&B and Chorus audits, with the addition of 2 additional objectives, the first of which is the bidding and selection process and the terms and conditions of the structured asset sales agreements themselves. In designing our audit procedures, we are also placing particular emphasis on the controls over transactions with affiliates. As part of this audit, we have selected a representative sample of assets that were subject to the inquiries and complaints that we were aware of at the time we initiated our work. We are evaluating these assets as part of a larger sample to satisfy our audit objectives. The inquiries and complaints that we are aware of primarily deal with the LLC's aggressiveness in pursuing balances owed on the loans, the LLC's treatment of borrowers or guarantors and its servicing, and the FDIC's handling of loans prior to the transfer to the LLC. We are scheduled to complete our field work in June of this year and issue a draft report in July. A final report incorporating FDIC management comments will be issued near the end of August. Going forward, we intend to continue our work related to each of the FDIC's resolution approaches. With regard to structured asset sales approach, our next audit will focus on the FDIC's overall control of these transactions. This plan or this approach is consistent with our earlier work in examining failed financial institutions and our more recent work of the shared loss program. As our resources permit, we look forward to conducting a study next year, probably next year, to evaluate the risk and effectiveness of all of the resolution approaches. This concludes my prepared statement. I thank you for the opportunity to discuss our work, and I'm prepared to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.